Welcome to Simply Happy Conversations, a podcast that teaches you how to create a clutter-free, functional, and simply happy life. I'm Narelle King, a professional organizer who supports family with practical steps to simplify their lives and create a more organized home. I'm passionate about supporting neurodivergent families and individuals like myself. Could better organization be the key to tidying quicker so that you can easily clean your home? While organizing, cleaning, tidying are distinct activities, they often overlap. Today, I'm going to share how the organization of 3 areas of your home that I usually help clients with, and that's the pantry, toy room or toy area, might be in a lounge room, and wardrobe, can make tidying and cleaning more efficient and less stressful. Let's jump into this Simply Happy conversation. Thanks for joining me for today's solo episode about organizing, cleaning, and tidying. They're all really distinct activities, and I'm going to break them down and share a bit about each one. But then I'm going to bring them together and share 3 areas in your home that I find I work with clients to organize that's going to help you with tidying, cleaning, and being more effective with this process. Cleaning focuses on removing dirt, dust, grime from surfaces and objects. It usually involves tasks like sweeping, mopping, dusting, scrubbing. The goal of cleaning is to maintain a more hygienic, maybe environment, keep surfaces looking neat and presentable, and also removing dust, because dust, if that's building up, that can actually develop into mold if there's the right moisture as well. Now, tidying is the process of putting things back in their designated place and restoring things after you've used them. It involves the task of putting things away like clothes, dishes, things that are lying around the house, and taking things off surfaces like benches. And the goal of tidying is to maintain a clutter and visual pleasing space for yourself and your family. And then there comes organizing. So organizing involves arranging items in a way that it's easy to find, easy to use them, and easy to store them. It often involves decluttering and then categorizing items and finding suitable storage solutions that they're going to be able to be in without having to move items out of the way to be able to get to it. We want there to be just that one step that we get the item and then we take it out, but then we just place it back. Maybe the only thing we're doing is removing a lid to do it. The goal of organizing is to create functional and efficient spaces that are really easy to maintain for yourself. So these 3 things really overlap. We want the space to be organized. If the space is organized, then we're more likely to tidy because it's easy to put things away. If it's difficult to put things away, we'll just pile them up either out the front of a cupboard or just inside the cupboard door. And then for us to be able to clean, we need the area tidy. If the area is not tidy, we can't vacuum or maybe mop or dust the surface because there's clutter all over it. I'm going to share the 3 places that I find that I'm always helping clients with, and hopefully one of those spaces is something that you'd like some help with, and these steps will help you. And it'll just look at how they overlap: organizing, tidying, and cleaning. So if we start on the wardrobe, and what we need to do to organize, we need to organize it into categories. So it might be micro-organized or it might be macro-organized. So macro is quite large categories. So it might be pants, tops, and underwear. And that's all you might have is those 3 different categories. Or you might break it down to even smaller categories. So it might be like dresses and skirts, work clothes, weekend clothes. For myself, I have teaching clothes and I had organizing clothes, and then I have my weekend clothes. Whatever it is that you're going to break your categories up into, it's something that's going to relate to you and how you want to be able to easily get your clothes out. You then need to consider the storage that you're going to use. And as I said before, you want to use one step. So no lids or moving other items to be able to get to your clothes. We want just that easy storage and access to your items. So depending on the storage that you have available to you in a wardrobe, or it might be drawers, think about if there is high shelving that you may be able to use and maybe do a rotation between seasons. It may be a useful thing to have a stepladder that will help you to be able to use all of the space. I really like using drawers so that you can keep everything together. I also like them not to be too deep, otherwise you're just wasting space. Another thing to really consider are the hangers that you're using. Are they all the same? Which means that you're going to eliminate visual clutter, but you're also going to make sure that you're using your space more effectively with maybe thin line type of coat hangers. And also look at the ones that work for you. There may be ones that are too short. Maybe the clips don't work properly. Think about the ones that you prefer to use and maybe donate the ones that you don't really enjoy using. I really like using open boxes on shelves, especially for, say, workout clothes or pajamas and underwear, things that you don't maybe want to fold, and you can just throw them straight into a basket or a box or a container, and then it could be on the shelf and you just pull that box or container, but it gives it a home and a space to be allocated just for those items. I am a huge fan of Marie Kondo's rolling method because I find it really easy for kids to be able to see their clothes and not pull the whole pile out just to find their one favorite t-shirt. So that is why I probably prefer a more shallow drawer and maybe a box or a container. You can roll your clothes up and you're able to see all of the different ones that you have instead of having to lift things up. Drawer separators or even just small compartments, so it might be a shoebox, are also great to separate clothes. You may have your underwear and your socks together in the one drawer because it's a really long drawer, but by having a box in there, you're able to separate and know where to put them when you're putting them away. Also think about using your vertical wall space. So maybe you've got some hooks that you could put up for hats or bags or scarves, or even just those command hooks that are removable. Also thinking about the back of a door, and you may be able to put some shelves or hooks on there for belts or jewelry as well. So when we don't have our wardrobe organized, the problem with tidying is you don't know where to put your t-shirts or jumpers or pants when they come out of the wash. And then when you go to find them, you're not sure where they are, and you're then having to rummage through your wardrobe trying to find things. And the problem with cleaning is you're not able to then vacuum the floor if you've got clothes everywhere. You're also not caring for your clothes if they're just lying around and you're having to step over some of your clothes. So when we've come to cleaning and tidying, by having the wardrobe organized, we're going to eliminate those problems. Okay, let's move into the toy room, toy space. It may be in a lounge room and it's just a little toy area. Again, we're going to organize the toys into categories. Think about your toys in either micro, which is really small categories, or your macro organization. So macro idea might be just toys, books and games, whereas your micro organization might look like educational activities, dolls, cars, Lego and Duplo, figurines, horses, superheroes, animals. Even the figurines could be broken up into smaller ones like Bluey and Polly Pocket. So once you've decided on whether you're going with macro or micro categories, and it really comes down to your children. Are your children wanting to play with those items, really easily get them out and then just have them isolated, or do they not really care and they're quite happy to just have all the toys in one box and they'll try and the things that they actually want? You then need to think about the storage. Easy to use storage for kids' toys, for kids to be able to put it away. So it could be like a cube unit, it could be a bookshelf, it could be one of those IKEA Trofast with the plastic drawers that are quite durable, and thinking about vertical space rather than spreading it out. But then at the same time, you've also got to think about your kids' height. Maybe you're going to be getting the toys down for them and putting them away at the end of the day. Labels to identify the categories is also going to be a great idea. Just taking a photo of a little group of toys, and kids love getting involved in this, and then putting that on the outside of the container that the toys are in. Also putting words as well, because it's great for kids to learn the words as well as seeing the visual. Also, when there's adults putting them away, the toys away, they're going to know where they need to go. Now, the biggest problem of tidying when we don't have our toys organized, they'll also just shove them all together maybe and put them in one box. And depending what your kids like and how they like to play, that's going to be a real problem for them. They may then turn around saying, I'm bored, I can't find anything to play with, because it's just one big mess and pile of toys. I love using gamification. So it's games to actually help clean up the area. Beat the clock is a great one. You can have one container sitting in the middle and you put a timer on and you make a suggestion of what the category is that they have to pick up the items for. So it could be Duplo blocks and everyone's running around trying to pick up as many as they can and put them into the box. Maybe you're keeping score or they're just trying to do it before the timer goes off. And then you could change the category and put another one. So our cleaning problem is if we have toys spread all over our lounge room floor or the toy space, we can't vacuum. We can't clean up if there's crumbs all on the ground, and we also can't clean up maybe the surfaces as well, let alone probably get in there without hurting yourself on a piece of Lego. The final area that I want to share with you around organising, tidying and cleaning is your pantry. So you need to decide whether you're going to be decantering your food items. That means tipping it out of its a packet and into a container. Maybe it's see-through, so maybe glass or plastic, but you can see then the item and how much you still have left. Decantering is great because it keeps things fresh and stops food from being wasted because you can actually see how much is left in the container, but it is a little bit more work. So you need to decide whether you're going to decanter or not decanter, and then also look at the best size container because you don't want to be buying a 500 gram flour and your container's only for 250 mils and you've still got to have the packet. It's not going to then keep as fresh as if we could keep the whole lot of the flour together. Plus, you're going to probably forget where that other little packet is. The next step is to organize the food into categories. And there's so many different categories you could use. These are just a few ideas from clients I've worked with. They've had like an area for smoothies. They've had baking area, meals, protein, a snacks area, breakfast area. Just think about the categories and how easy it's going to be for your family and which one are going to suit your family the best. Then you're going to look at assembling zones in your pantry. The items you use on a regular basis are the ones that you're going to put in your prime real estate. That's the area between your head and your hip. And those items that you don't use on a regular basis, like maybe extra stock that you might have. Some people don't bake a lot, so they might put their baking up a lot higher. Also things like, your cake stands and your picnic covers and your platters that are a lot larger might go up the very top, whereas you keep the things that you use really regularly down low. So you might be a family who loves like toast and breakfast condiments, and so they're going to be down lower, especially if you're looking to help your children to become more independent and you want them to access those items. Maybe you want children to pack their own lunch boxes, so their snacks that you want for their lunches might be down low so they can also access that. The next thing to think about are, again, the storage solutions. We touched on the decantering. So if you are going to decanter, you're going to make sure that you've got the containers in the right sizes. And then you can look at takeaway containers or just anything that can hold maybe sauces or soup packets, ready to go meals. It might be shoe boxes. It doesn't have to be containers from a store. It could be things that you already have. Maybe it's Tupperware that doesn't have matching lids anymore. Those containers are great. I suggest decluttering your Tupperware first, and that way then you've got some containers to start with as well. I also really like those tiered steps. They're really good for cans and jars so that you can see the different levels. I really like those turntables, especially for condiments. The other thing to think about is the vertical space or maybe an inside of the door. So maybe you'll be able to put your shopping list or meal planners or spices and putting a rack on the back of the door. And just remember that not everything needs to be kept in the pantry, and you need the things that you use on a regular basis when you're cooking right near the stove, or in a cupboard that's beside the stove or above. Things like oils and salt and pepper and maybe spices. They could be stored on the bench next to you in a container or even one of those roundabouts, or possibly in the cupboards around. Maybe also creating like a coffee station where you have your cups, the actual kettle or the coffee maker, and then the things that you use like the tea bags, the sugar, anything else that you might need when you're making, so you don't need to move from this station and it's all right there in the one spot. The problems that come up with tidying when we haven't organized our pantry is that family members are just going to put things in empty spots. And it means that when you're trying to order your groceries or you're going to cook a meal, you can't find anything that you actually need. And then you're rushing out to the supermarket to get something, and then you actually find it. When it comes to cleaning our pantry, one of the great things if we use some of the containers is if something spills, we're able to then take those few items out, clean the container and put it back on the shelf. And it's not a whole mess on a shelf. There's nothing worse than like honey or maple syrup that's then spread all over the shelf instead of just in one little container that we could wash. So when you do have your items out and you're going to organize your pantry, then just thinking about cleaning the shelves while you're at it. I hope by sharing these 3 areas of the home, pantry, toy room, and wardrobe, that you're able to start to implement organization in one of those spaces to make tidying and cleaning more efficient and less stressful. If you'd like assistance with implementing organization in a space in your home, please reach out for an in-person or a virtual session. Thanks for listening to Simply Happy Conversations. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy Conversation. If you'd like to reduce your paper and digital clutter and free yourself from the overwhelm of clutter so that you can claim back time and space to enjoy the things you love, head over to simplyhappy.com.au in the resource section and grab the declutter checklist and start to reduce your clutter even with small amounts of time. I'd like to acknowledge the Wathaurong people of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.